Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to Link Click, Season 2, Episode 3. So, yeah, we're going to be doing these weekly here on out. Just because of when they release and everything, it's it just kind of makes sense to get to them like right away on Friday. Um, so I guess we're kind of like only for a couple shows going back to a schedule. But it's only for like the currently releasing stuff, only because it is, well, currently releasing. All the stuff that is like older or whatnot, to any degree, it's like I'm still reacting to that just kind of whenever. But it looks like Fridays from here on out are going to be Link Click and Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2. Well, both of them Season 2. Um, so Friday's going to be spoken for, but the rest of the stuff will still remain unscheduled and just be whenever I get to it and what I get to at any given time. Um, it's just, it's going to work out this way, I feel, because again, if it's like I wait a week or something to get to the new episode, it's like I run the risk of being spoiled. And I'm already like working hard. I've already been working hard to not get spoiled on Jujutsu Kaisen because I'm technically already late because it's like 3 weeks into the sub, so I don't want to have to deal with that any further than I have to. Especially because there will be people out there who will be like, "Oh, but the dub is out now. The episode's been out for almost a week now. It's like you have no excuse anymore." It's like, yeah. So it's like I'm just doing it on Friday. And with Link Click, well, I don't see a lot of spoilers, unfortunately, because this series is very underrated. Um, there's still a chance. And on top of that, I just really don't want to wait for either of them. I've been already waiting weeks for Jujutsu Kaisen, so it's like I'm not going to want to wait much longer. And Link Click is just, it's one of my favorite series, so yeah. So, last time, we got basically a huge bit of knowledge on who the enemy is. We have specifically a group. We don't know anything about them at the moment, but we have a group of people that is presumably led by the diver. Um, that's what we can presume at the moment, though there's not really evidence of that, to be fair. But all we know about the diver is that they are in the hoodie and everything, and that's pretty much it. We don't know who they are at all. We don't know if we've seen them before. We don't know entirely what their motivations are. But we know that Bin Chen, I think his name is, the police officer, we know his brother is part of this. His brother is a former police officer who has now gone to the wrong side of things, which not really surprises me. It doesn't really surprise me much. Oh, a former police officer ends up being corrupt as hell. Yeah, not a surprise. But he he's also working above this other guy named Ma. And Ma is a martial artist. We know that. We saw that last episode. He has a wild boxing style, but it's effective. um, and Ma is also presumably the one who killed Bin Chen. Because he fell from the roof, and Ma was the one coming from the roof. So we can presume, I talked about this last time, that the diver possessed Bin Chen, gave the phone to them to distract them while he left, and then he went to the roof where he met with Ma. And Ma either pushed him off like right before or right after the diver left his body. If he pushed him beforehand, then the diver left the body mid-fall. Um, and or that's if he left him after being pushed. If he left him before being pushed, then Bin Chen, probably just from the confusion of being up there, was unable to react in time to Ma pushing him. But more than likely, Ma pushed him because it didn't. From the angle he was falling and stuff, it didn't look like he jumped, even if he like jumped or fell himself backwards. It does come across like he was pushed. But we have Xiaoxi and Qiaoling trying to, basically corner Ma for a pincer attack. They end up getting into a fight with him, and he holds his own really well against both of them. They do manage to defeat him, but unfortunately, right at that moment, a large number of the rest of the gang comes in, and yeah, it's very clear they have the numbers advantage. Meanwhile, the captain of the police was also taken out. From what we could tell, presumably not killed, just, taken down. They got him out of the way, basically. Don't know why they decided they had to kill Bin Chen, though. Especially with, one of them being his brother and having visited Bin Chen's now widow, who is pregnant, 8 months, I believe it was. It's like, Jesus. That's a very effective way to get us emotionally invested in this, if we weren't already, and we were already, but still. It's like, because we had already heard about his family, and then you actually get to see his wife and unborn daughter there, and you get to see how nice and wonderful they are. Or, well, she is, you know what I mean. It gives us more of that emotional connection so that when he dies, it feels more painful. And we see that the only reason that Bin Chen's brother and Ma went to the house was to get a picture of Bin Chen for the diver. We still don't fully know how this diver's powers work. There's implication in the way that they talked about, or talked to Xiaoxi about his powers. There's implication that there's a difference between their abilities, that they work slightly different. So it's unclear exactly how his or theirs work compared to Xiaoxi's. And if they do work different, how and why? I really hope we get this info, because this is kind of a big deal. If we're having an enemy diver, we need to be able to learn about how diving works in the first place. Because that's something we never found out in season 1. And it's like, the thing is, if season 1 had ended and season 2 had been running in the same kind of vein as season 1 started, with just the kind of like, oh, let's take on these different cases and stuff, then it wouldn't have been that big a deal. They could have easily gotten away with not telling us. But because we brought in the murder mystery and we have a villain who has the same powers or similar, we have to know. It's kind of required. But yeah, now that they're surrounded, the question is the gang going to beat up or try to kill Xiaoxi and Qiaoling? And in the meantime, we also have Lu Guang being confronted. And it seems like it was by the diver. So this is like really stepping up the intensity. Like, it's kind of dialing back on the emotions a little bit. Like, it's not as emotionally heavy as a lot of the episodes in season 1 were. But it's definitely stepping up on the intensity. It's very much like stepping into the vibes of the entire murder mystery aspect of it, and I love that. I think it's a great switch up that feels natural, and I want to see more of that. I still want to see the emotional shit too, mind you. But yeah, um, so I guess we're gonna see what happens now. I guess we'll take it from there. Um, Again, I fully believe that our main trio is pretty much invincible at the moment. If any of them do die, one, it's definitely not going to be Xiaoxi. Um, I think I think Yao Ling would be the most vulnerable of them because she's not involved in the diving aspect. But at the same time, I don't even see that happening. To be fair, um, but yeah, I don't think any of them are actually going to die. They could be beat up. That's very possible. But we'll have to wait and see for that. I mean, Lu Guang was already, pretty badly injured. So now what? We have two people who need to be brought back from the dead. We have Emma and Officer Bin Chen. We have this entire organization to take down, no matter how big they are. Basically, shit's hitting the fan. And I'm excited. So let us get this going. When the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. God damn this show. It's like the season so far had not been getting me super emotional because the kind of the format of the show changed from I talked about this last time, but it kind of like very naturally changed from being about the different jobs they were taking on to this entire murder mystery plot. And that's fine. That's great. It feels natural. It's worked out really well. But because of that, it's kind of left a little bit of the emotion aside. And again, as long as it's still an engaging watch, that's fine. But if I'm being honest, that was one of the big things that pulled me into the series. The emotional weight of everything, the deep, heavy feelings that it gave was one of the biggest positives about the series. And I won't lie, that I kind of missed it. And so, in this episode, we have a lot of the mystery aspect and even more mysteries brought up, which I'll get to. But then you have, during Chen Bin's wake, you have his widow come in a wedding dress to music and just vent. Just yell at him. Complain. Tell him that you basically wanted him around more. That his constant working was a strain. But also, at the same time, making it very clear how much she absolutely adored him. How, despite all of this, their love was true. And, like, that alone would have gotten me emotional. But then seeing everybody else fucking crying over it, it's like, I'm a very sympathetic crier. If I see someone crying, I will cry. It's happened a lot during reactions. I've watched people's reactions, they start crying and everything, and it's like, oh, well, here come the tears for me, too. Even if I would have been able to hold it together during the scene in whatever they're watching otherwise. It's like, if I see someone crying, I get really emotional. It's not really something I can help. Um, Even fictional characters, it even works with fictional characters. It's just like, I, mm, I don't know why exactly, but yeah, it's like, but yeah, there's a lot of questions that this episode raises. Let's get to that. So I was wondering how Shaoxi and Qiaoling were going to be saved from Ma and the rest of this gang. The way it happened was not at all what I would have ever expected. So we have these three old people who somehow seem to know who Lu Guang, Qiaoling, and Cheng Shaoxi are. And just like our three main leads, these three are two guys and a girl. And I mentioned the theory like about them possibly being them from the future and having dived back in time through CCTV footage. It's like I just don't. That seems really wacky for this series if that ends up being the case. But I mean, I trust that the writers will be able to pull that off if that is the case, because the writers of this are just fantastic. It's like they could easily jump the shark, but they could also make it work extremely well if it's just written really well. But I mean, otherwise, I don't know because the old guy was the one who came to the hospital with Lu Guang in there, right? And he was the one who like weirdly said like he was like Lu Guang was his father or something. It's like I didn't know what was up with that before. That scene actually kind of confused me. I didn't really touch on it that much because I didn't know what to say about it. So I don't know if he's telling it because if he's telling the truth and he's like his son from the future or something, like then that just raises even more questions, right? I feel like this all. Plus, again, how do they have powers then? Because it's made very clear that they have actual powers. Like the masks they were wearing were very fitting for that. We saw that the one guy, the one they were calling like Dad, um, he destroyed that hand guard on the hospital seat just by like squeezing it. And on top of that, when he punched the one thug, he sent him flying, like in an unrealistic sense. And it's like there's a such thing as suspending logic because of watching an anime or a cartoon, or in this case a donghua. But there's also the point where you have to think like, oh no, that's just not even realistic for this world. Um, and they actually very much draw attention to that because the other two are like, wait, no, stop, you can't use all your power. And it's like, huh, what does this mean? And then they like do some attack together where they cause this bright flash of light and just solve everything apparently. Take out everyone else. And so all the thugs get arrested and Shaoxi and Qiaoling get away just fine. So it's like, the fuck? That's probably the biggest mystery right now. Like, there were some other mystery aspects brought up in this, and obviously there's other mysteries still, but like even more so than the identity of the diver, what the fuck is going on here? Because it's just so out of left field compared to everything else. But speaking of the diver, so we found out by the end what happened there when he came to visit Luke Wong. He gave him a photo, and the photo appeared to be of like maybe a mother and daughter, but there was no explanation or anything given for it. So, is the diver trying to tell them to go back into that? But for what reason? If they don't know why they're going back into it, it's like, what are they supposed to do? Just witness whatever happens? Though, to be fair, with Luke Wong's power, and he was the one who was given the picture, he can look into the picture and see the events surrounding it. So maybe that's what the diver wants. Maybe he wants, like, Luke Wong to know something? I'm just really confused by all of this. And then Kyung Jin, Chen Bin's brother. I'm kind of starting to wonder if they were like actually like actual brothers, or more like that was used as a like term of endearment. Because I know they do that in Japan. The term Aniki brother is used as a term of endearment as well. So I'm wondering if that's like the same in China and whatnot. But either way, we'll still call him his brother for now, because that is what it said, one way or the other. I'm just wondering, like, what his entire game is, because he's playing like both sides. Not only did we see him and Ma go to visit Chen Bin's now widow, but we see that he's also working with Mu Lin's father, and presumably that was the mother as well. So, what is his goal here? Because he's with the bad guys, but he's like basically going undercover as well. Is he just trying to control things and try to like basically fuck with our heroes even more? I'm genuinely wondering. Because everything's kind of being used against them, especially like the captain and all right now. Like, they're framing Chen Bin as well, which it's very clear Ma put that stuff there when he went away to get the picture and everything, when he was putting the apples in the kitchen. It's very clear he's the one who set that all up and put that bribe money in there. It's just, why? Why kill him? Why set him up? What is their goal? What are they trying to do? Because it's clearly that, and all the thugs taking on confronting Qiao Ling and Chen Shaoxi. We can clearly see now that that's not just a distraction. There is an actual plan to what they're doing. I was thinking that they were just distracting them while the diver went to Lu Guang before. But yeah, that's clearly not the case. So what are they trying to do? I have no clue. Like, I have some thoughts running around in my head, but nothing that feels any kind of concrete. Like, it's all just conjecture at this point. But that's really good, because the fact that the mystery element is so strong right now, for multiple reasons, for multiple aspects, it's really doing it for me. I love a good mystery. I like, my favorite books are like Sherlock Holmes stories. Like The Hound of the Baskervilles is absolutely a masterpiece. I love a good mystery. Um, and this is definitely a good mystery. And it's not even necessarily about like, it's not like a whodunit situation, like where you're trying to find out like the whodunit kind of thing. It's more everything else, like, why was it done? who are these other people that saved them? There's so many questions, so many things that are just not adding up quite yet, that I'm very excited to see how they do add up. It's just, this has got me invested in a very different way from season one. Still, even though the emotional pull returned this episode, it's still a very different kind of feeling. But again, it was naturally executed to where it doesn't feel like it came out of nowhere or anything. It felt like this was built up to. And that's good. That's really good. Um, I think last time I compared this to Hell of a Boss in the way that it kind of changed its focus and everything. And I've been loving Hell of a Boss. Hell of a Boss has never been better. So yeah, I'm just excited to see where this goes. In the meantime, tell me in the comments below what did you think of this episode? Do you have any theories and whatnot going on? Let me know, and thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See you all next time.